You're at home, just relaxing and enjoying your free time, as serene as you could possibly be. But more specifically, you're sitting behind a screen with a controller in your hands as your avatar gorily massacres endless enemies on your television. Hello, I'm Jalen Owens, and if you believe that the scene that I just depicted leads to violence and aggression in real life, then I would like to inform you of the effect that video games really have on the common individual. I would like to explore the controversial topic of how data doesn't support the idea that video games cause violence, the true effect that video games have had on our behavior, and how video games can be beneficial to our lives. Let's take a closer look at how those studies that claim that video games are bad for you just aren't true. Previous studies were often flawed because the means that they used to measure a person's aggression were unreliable. The way that older studies measured people's aggression were through their biological factors such as their heart rate and brain waves, which doesn't always translate into actual aggression. More modern studies try to measure the individual's mental state through means such as word association and what they would do in certain scenarios. Data does not support the idea that video games have any negative effect on our mental state. As stated in the long-standing science channel ASAP Science and studies done by Sarah Coyne, studies have shown that there is no correlation between a person who plays video games on a regular basis and a rise in their violent thoughts and behaviors. The data is so clear that the argument that video games causes aggression, it no longer stands up in court. In 2011, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that there is no significant correlation between video games and violence. Now that we've busted the myth that video games are inherently bad, let's talk about some of the side effects that video games really have. The simple fact that you are spending time on games and not elsewhere could be a good thing. As mentioned on procon.org, because you are at home gaming, you probably aren't getting yourself into any significant trouble. This being said, people who spend a significant portion of their time gaming are less likely to be drug addicts, to have committed crimes, and even be the cause of car crashes. As most things are in life, too much of anything can cause issues in a person's life, including video games. Coyne states in her study that the more time a person spends playing video games, the more likely that the person is to be overweight or obese, indolence, or just simply being too lazy. That's the biggest negative consequence of playing video games. But even this can be avoided if the individual remembers to manage his or her time and maintaining a healthy lifestyle, making sure they're getting their needed exercise, eating right, and just listening to their body. Another problem that arises from the overuse of gaming is that gamers are less likely to be social. Gamers tend to find comfort being alone and will often avoid being social. These negative side effects of people just being too lazy in general are becoming an increasingly bigger problem in our society. But there are also benefits that society receives from video games. Mainstream video games, such as games on the Xbox, the PlayStation 4, or the PC, have proven to benefit a person's cognitive behavior. People who play video games on a regular basis are more likely to notice small details that their non-gamer counterparts wouldn't. Some other capabilities that gamers can do better than non-gamers are their ability to multitask, focus, and differentiate contrast and color. Another major benefit that society has achieved from video games are ways to train and teach. Through video games, people can learn how to do almost any task if it's offered in training. The more realistic that the game training is, the better that the person will be at the task they are training for. In studies conducted by Miguel Gomez Ramirez on medical students who are training through video games, those students who are trained through video games are often more successful and precise than those who didn't receive game training. All this said, I believe that video games aren't the menace to society that many claim that they are, though they can have drawbacks if overused. I do feel that video games will continue to grow in popularity, but we as users need to make sure that they stay beneficial rather than detrimental to our society. Video games will play a major role in the future because they are a great way to spend your time and are just beginning in their capacity as an aid to our society. Thank you.